Today I'm here with Julian Karikalan, who is a writer, director and a producer of Love and Love Only. We're basically going to be having a chat about the movie and take basically my perspective of the movie, and basically we're just going to be having a general chat. So Julian, welcome.
Thank you. So I made the movie, but I made the movie for the audience. So I thought instead of me talking about the movie, it would be ideal if I asked what the audience feel about the movie, because you were in the festival and you watched the movie, and so that's what is going to be useful for the other audience as well. So okay. I thought I should ask you first. So
basically it was a movie where there was real livelihood in the movie, in saying that everyone can take something away from the movie and can relate to the movie and any of the characters. So for example, if you're an international student, you will be able to relate to the movie in that way. If you're a suburban, if you live in suburbia Sydney, you'll be able to relate it in some way. And then the biggest thing that I had was that the movie is about an international student who comes to Australia, comes to Sydney to travel, comes to Sydney to study, and he's from an affluent Indian background where he hasn't been doing a lot of things in his home, and he's basically a mummy's boy. Okay, yes. And so he comes here and he gets to Sydney, and it's for him it's like it's a culture shock. Mm. And then he starts to study here, he starts to work here, but then he also has the rules and regulations that they have to follow because they are an international student. So he has problems working 20 hours a week that they're allowed to do. And then he because he was from an affluent background in India, he has to do these odd jobs, labouring type jobs, which he's not used to.
Yeah. So that's not only being affluent, like even poor people, if they've done a course and they've got a degree, then they feel they're not supposed to do that. Because
so that's right. So,
but he is affluent as well in the story.
That's right. So people who, me being from India, I see it all the time. So every time we go back to India, people always kind of put us on a pedestal because we are from a foreign country, and there are jobs that are specifically related to people. So if you're a doctor or if you're a lawyer, there are a lot of things that you will not do in the household, and you'll have your drivers and things like that. But when you come to Australia, it doesn't matter how much money you make. The difference in the earning capacity and the living standards is quite. The living standards are not. They're not vast like India. So even the poorest people in Australia, they receive Centrelink or they receive government assistance. They have a car to drive, and that they have regular water running. They have hot water. Whereas in India, it's you have to be middle class to be able to afford those luxuries.
Yeah, that becomes luxury.
That becomes luxuries. Whereas it's a standard. It's a standard way of living.
Yeah, that's a good thing in Australia. So even if you do the least of the job, you can still afford. Maybe the quality will differ and the lifestyle will differ, but still you can afford everything.
Yes. So if anyone is if somebody is a multi-millionaire, they would have to stand in the same line at McDonald's as somebody who's earning $50,000. So there is not that vast difference here. Whereas in India, someone who's of a wealthier culture, they would go back to the front of the line and say, "Hey, look, I'm so and so. I want to order my food first."
That's true.
Okay.
I mean, they won't even go and stand in the queue.
No, they won't even stand in the queue. They'll say, no, come on.
So that's something I felt when I first came. I was like that character. I didn't really want to do those kind of jobs and all that, and because I'm not supposed to do that in a sense. But then I realized how good this is. So this changed me, the Australian culture. So there are some good things we take from here and good things we bring from there, and that's what I wanted to show in the film. So these parts are some good things that we take from the Australian culture that we have to get rid of in India, I believe.
That's right.
But the other one, when it comes to the romance and love and all that, I think our culture is still away
A
better.
little bit back, yes.
And
But
the family values.
the family values are there. And look, love is a universal thing. It doesn't look at race, it doesn't look at culture, it doesn't look at, if you fall in love with somebody, you fall in love with somebody. And it doesn't matter what they look like. If they look beautiful to you, or if you have connections with them and you're able to relate to them in certain ways, then you basically fall in love with them. And it doesn't matter, it can be a cross-cultural thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that an Indian has to marry an Indian or an Australian has to marry an Australian, because we live in a multicultural country and it's bound to have that effect where there's intercultural relationships happening, and we Indians must also adapt to that as well. We can't just say that my child is going to marry an Indian or my child is going to be marrying a Hindu, for example. You have to be mindful, and you have to take the community as a large.
Definitely. I mean, still in India they have the caste.
The caste system, that's right.
Even last month they killed someone because their own daughter, and the guy, because she married someone from a different caste. They're both Hindus, they both speak the same language and all that from the same place, but
Wasn't allowed.
it's not allowed. So when we say within the community itself there are the classifications now, we say no, they're not even within different races.
That's right. That's
So when I say that, did that feel realistic and relatable, or
Yes,
when
it
you
was.
watched
It
that?
was relatable. It was, and coming from a Punjabi background, I see it a lot in the Indian community, in the Punjabi community, and these things just happen. I mean, look, not everybody's out there to get a visa. Not everybody's out there to just get permanent residency. It can happen.
And yeah, when you were saying it with the Punjabi community, I didn't really know that much when I even wrote it. Only after that, because basically based on my script, he was a Tamil guy, because that's what I know. So that's what I thought, okay, it would be relevant. And then I thought, why not we do some research? And I went around and spoke to Punjabi community, Bengali community, Marathi, because the film has all these actors.
It
the
does,
mom is from
yes.
the Bengali
Yes, it does.
stage, and the dad is from the Marathi stage, and he's done movies in Marathi also.
So that's why
The guy is
that's why you
Punjabi.
can relate to. You don't have to be you don't have to be of a Pacific Indian, Pacific region to relate to this movie. Or in fact, you don't have to be Indian at all. It's in English. It's in English. Obviously, everyone can understand, and it's got different characters in it that anyone and everyone will relate to them in some way or another.